why don't you drop out? What, I mean, like, she should drop out. Why don't you drop out?
He's like your sister's new boyfriend.
Respectfully, we can respectfully, Brian,
The Trump-like gimmick is only going to get you so far. Vivek Ramaswamy has been getting destroyed by conservative media. Only 5 weeks out from when voting starts, it seems that Republicans are all but over his try-hard antics that they've largely deemed annoying and naive. The Trump-like gimmick is only going to get you so far, especially when you can't match his charisma, but I wanted to look at a couple of these moments to see what the right-wing pundits had to say about him. First, let's watch Laura Ingraham just asking him bluntly to his face, why don't you drop out of the race?
But you're trailing DeSantis, Trump, and Nikki Haley. So I think her question to you right now would be, why don't you drop out? What, I mean, like, she should drop out. Why don't you drop out and endorse Trump?
I mean, this is different 6 weeks ago. My view is this. I'm also a very practical person, Laura. I'm talking to you from northern Iowa, where I came from Alabama earlier. One of the things we're seeing on the ground in Iowa, and this is practical reality, is many of my supporters are not traditional caucus goers.
So you're saying tonight that there's going to be a groundswell of support for you at the Iowa caucuses? There's going to be a groundswell, and that's going to propel you to a first or second place finish?
It's going to shatter the expectations. I think we're going to shatter the expectations that have been set for us.
The dismissive okay at the end just gets me every time. Like, yeah, okay, whatever. But his polling has dropped dramatically, and he's given up the unity routine in favor of just attacking everyone in sight in hopes that he goes viral with the clicks. And nobody is buying the whole monumental victory thing anymore, especially when he's polling in Christie land, 4%. That's trash can numbers. But if you think I'm just a biased lefty when I say that, here's another host hilariously comparing Vivek to a sister's boyfriend.
Vivek Ramaswamy, I think we always talk about all comers are welcome in the Republican Party. Great diverse field. The first debate in August, you watched him and said, okay, well, give this guy a shot. He's like your sister's new boyfriend. You're excited. He's coming over for Thanksgiving. He's rich. He's an entrepreneur. He's going to bring some really interesting, expensive food. And you're coming up on New Year's Eve and you're trying to concoct what kind of illness you're going to have, just so you don't have to spend the night with it.
Yeah. Surprisingly well summed up, if I say so myself. I think that he kind of came in hot after the first debate and was reminiscent of Trump for some of his supporters and also defending the man. So he got like a whirlwind of support that boosted him up, but none of the people, or a majority of the people, never were going to vote for him over Trump in the first place. And for the rest, over time, it seems a lot of those that were left, the more they've gotten to know him, the more they've soured on him. And that's why in the polls, again, he's in Christie land, 4%, from where he had peaked at around 11%. Brian Kilmeade even had to call him out about his foreign policy and the naivety of it all, surprisingly siding with Ukraine.
Are you comfortable giving up Eastern Europe? Because you know they're already taking Moldova, already making moves on the Baltic already. They're taking more and more pieces of Georgia. And all we've done is sit there and send blankets and MREs, and we got an invasion. So what is going to be next?
Because we have no idea how Ukraine has spent $200 billion of our money. We're forking over more taxpayer money.
Do you see how they fight? These guys are the best fighters in the...
And I'm not going to stand for that.
Ukrainians are probably the best fighters in the world.
Ukraine is not some democracy.
Ukraine is fighting for their sovereignty. And they were invaded. They would have invaded.
Ukraine has actually assassinated a former presidential candidate from 2019.
So
but the
naive.
Media doesn't like to report that.
So naive.
Well,
you give up Ukraine, and then in a few years you'll be criticizing Joe Biden for giving up Ukraine.
I respectfully, we can respectfully, Brian.
Notice how he doesn't feel the need to try and intellectually challenge him by asking him to name the regions or point them out on a map. I wonder why that might be. But it's funny how he stumbles around his words here, unable to give a coherent answer, instead just continuously trying to revert back to 200 billion taxpayer dollars. Because if he focuses on that and not the fact that he wants to play directly into Putin's hand, he knows that he'll have a better chance of getting people to support him. But the polling is not the case. I'm just saying, it's just funny watching the whole character arc of Vivek since the start of his campaign, and how his demeanor has changed since his 15 minutes of fame has long since faded, and most people, even in his own party, have turned on him and grown annoyed by his attitude. I feel like the only thing that's keeping him in the race at this point is pride. He does not want the ego of like, oh no, I didn't lose, I gave up, no, he wants to go to the end for a few reasons. Also, the longer he's in the race, the more book sales he's going to get. But if he stays in the race to the end, he can claim some sort of greater conspiracy of people going against him or voting fraud that I bet he'll find some way to spin and not include Trump. But I guarantee he says, if he especially falls behind like DeSantis and Haley. If you enjoyed this video, we're Social Society. We're a commentary channel influenced by politics, society, and the economy. We are pretty left-leaning on this channel, but we're open to our right-wingers as well. The biggest thing here is having conversations that get everyone to the bottom of the truth. If that sounds like something that could interest you, consider smashing that subscribe button, leaving us a like, or even commenting on this video, because the only way we become a society